basic needs, for instance, a child who is asthmatic and they require some inhaler, you still have to buy that for them to be comfortable in school. Now, Dr. Mwiria, when you reflect on that, a figure of 100,000 shillings, to some it's not a lot, but to some it's huge. They cannot get there. Is there anything that can be done, despite the government supporting up to 22,000 shillings, all these other costs and the school fees itself? What interventions do we need?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, let me, at the risk of repeating myself, restate the fact that education, basic education, should actually be free. And I will, we can talk about where the resources will come from, but there are resources in this country. This country is much richer than African countries and others in Asia that are able to afford it. Secondly, even as we, there are certain things that don't make sense to some parents. Mm-hmm. How do you ask kids to have uniform and shoes and all these things when some of their own parents don't have clothing, don't have shoes? It's such an irony. Mm-hmm. So the point is, there is already money in the country, and this money, a lot of money has been devolved. And in some parts of the country, it's a lot of money to educate a kid, even up to PhD. Mm-hmm. So there is those resources. The question is, are we asking for accountability for the monies that are voted by Minister of Education, by the money that is with the money with the constituencies, what the governors are controlling, and so on? I just the point I'm making is this: if we are cost conscious, if we are cost conscious and ask questions about how the money is being used, right, I don't think we would have this problem. But the question is, since we are not asking these questions in any other sector, since like corruption is accepted as a norm, we will never resolve the issue. But if we want to address it, I can tell you we'll be able to do it. Some people have to be accountable, and someone has come to and say, look, we want to know how this money is used. And if we account properly and efficiently, there will be no need for all these fees and the extra levies that are charged by school principals. Mm-hmm.
Janet, they appear quite unregulated, but when you listen to school heads, they can actually justify it and make sense that we actually need these resources for us to give the standard of quality that they are providing, especially if you're talking about Cluster 1 and Cluster 2 schools. But how do we control that?
I think we also need to be more accountable as a country and also as parents, and agree that there is no way boarding school can be free. Government is not likely to feed your child when they're in school. Government is not likely to take care of boarding-related items. Having said that, we also know that it is the same government that has supervised as many schools become boarding. Mm-hmm. So there's a lack of control of government. If government is saying we can afford day school to be free, and so that let's talk about how day school is free next. But let's first deal with the issue of boarding schools. Government is saying free education is free when it is boarding. Mm-hmm. But when you bring your child to sleep here, both pay for what they eat, they will require electricity at night, they might require a bed and a mattress. Honestly, those are not costs that government can take on board. Mm-hmm. So there are those costs that parents must happily cater for, because they're the same people who do not want to encourage the culture of day schools. Yep. We must tell each other the truth if we want to help each other. Day school is free, but when you want to take your child to go and sleep somewhere, where are they going to sleep? Who is going to feed them? They'll need electricity, they'll need water. So the boarding component is what parents are required to pay. So
when they're unable to pay, what shall we do?
No, that is why I'm saying the government is the one that is also not leading from the front. By one end of the mouth, you're saying day school is free. But you know too well that most of the good schools in this country are boarding schools. So what do we do about it? It is you who is admitting children in boarding schools without reference to whether they are able, and there is no checklist that I want to go to a day school. Even if any child wanted to go to a day school in this country, what quality of day schools do we have? We are seeing the same government not investing in day school. We are seeing the same government taking more money to the most endowed schools, and those schools become boarding. So all this confusion you're seeing about us saying that we don't have space is because we are equating school to bed spaces. That's what we're equating the school capacity to bed spaces. So that whole philosophy is wrong, and we need to very quickly begin now planning about how do we become as affordable, how can we bring education so that everybody can access it. And the concept is about day schools.
Day schools. Now, Dr. Chris, even as you look at this, when you listen to the members or leaders within the Ministry of Education, they're talking of institutions that attracted upwards of 50,000 applications, but they have capacity of between 500 and 900. If you listen to every child, they want to go to the top schools, as you know them, regardless of whether the parents can afford. And like she says, it is the question of quality across the country. I don't know what your comments would be, especially when it comes to the investment into proper learning facilities across the country.
Thank you, Sam. First and foremost, on the cost of education in this country. There are so many institutions that are entrusted to provide, some kind of bursaries, allocations, and what have you. If the government take up a tangible point of putting all these institutions into one basket and address these challenges of cost education in this country, that will add up well. Because I remember very well during Munavu's task force, where he was the chair, and the president was very categorical, and he said, how do we address this issue of the cost inhibitive in the education sector? And you must put all these sectors together, like bursaries from CDF, bursaries from county government, bursaries from other institutions that is entrusted to give out this money to various institutions in terms of education. But if we put all these together and address from one basket about education in this country, we can go very far. Secondly, about the quality. Quality does not entail only the money involvement. There is learning facilities, there is teaching facilities, there is human capital, there is infrastructure development. There are other facilities which are very essential. In a society, there are three things which are very critical. One is education. Two is about health. Three is about security. If you address all these three, that is concerning about the social phenomena that affect the society or citizen in this country. So the best way is we have to evaluate ourselves. Where did we go wrong? How do we address this challenge? By putting all these resources together. Look like the first time when Kibaki came up with free primary education, people did not anticipate that it will be successful. But it was very successful. Why? Because he put all the taxpayers' money into one basket. And he said the first priority is education. The second one is health. The third one is other departments which is concerned about the human life. So if we come up with affirmative action, with stern measures against any person dealing with corruption, there's money in this country, as Dr. Kileme has said. So we can address this issue together so that we lower also the cost of education to this matter. As she said, education, boarding. Boarding is inevitable. You have to pay. You have to pay. But the other tuition is the government which is providing. Out of these 22,000, there is a government which has given directive that they should carve out 4,000 for infrastructure development. From these 22, this is how they are broken down. And this one will now improve also the quality of education in terms of infrastructure. And then the other responsibility is not only the government. We, the stakeholders, must get involved in how to make education accessible by all. Because there are 5 issues that you need to address.
Daktari, before you go to the 5 issues, please hold on your points. We'll get to the now full discussion shortly, because also we have to talk about, there are all manner of accusations about the patterns of investment